Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And just like that, we are off and we are running. It is another brand new live edition of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond with you, hanging out here at Bill Penny Toyota. Sitting out here inside the service department. Their garage doors are going up even as we speak. The cars are starting to pull in Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. They can take care of your service needs here at Bill Penny Toyota. Don't forget, if you need to drop your car off, you need to wait a little bit, and you don't want to wait a little bit. You got stuff to do around town. Don't forget, you can rent a Toyota today. Reliability, versatility, rentability, it is all available here at Bill Penny Toyota. You get 24-hour roadside assistance, the latest well-equipped models, competitive rates, everything you need to make your life easier here at Bill Penny Toyota. Give them a call today, Bill Penny Toyota Service Department. 256-576-4977. That is the number to our show this morning. You can join us on a Monday morning as we continue to count down towards the start of the college football season. And in case you are wondering, we are 47 days, 4 hours, 58 minutes, and 4 seconds away from week 0 of the college football season. It all gets underway then, and we are exactly 1 week away from kicking off the 2023 SEC Media Days in Nashville. This time next week, we will be at the Grand Hyatt, downtown Nashville, getting ready for SEC Media Days. And on Monday, 1 week from today, we will have the defending SEC West champions, the LSU Tigers, the Missouri Tigers, and Texas A&M to kick things off. That is the Monday portion of the schedule. And then on Tuesday, we will get Auburn and Hugh Freeze for the first time. Hugh Freeze, a busy recruiting weekend for the Tigers. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. And then on Tuesday, to go along with Auburn, the Georgia Bulldogs, Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt. Those are the 4 teams on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we get Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, and Kentucky. A busy, busy weekend for Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide, also on the recruiting trail. We'll talk about that, just showing that there is the recruiting world is not just national, it's international when talking about Alabama. And then on Thursday, Ole Miss, South Carolina, and Tennessee. That'll wrap things up for SEC Media Days. Now, make sure you stay with 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Make sure you have the app downloaded because next week only, so next week, our show usually goes from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Talking Ball will go from 7 a.m. to 9:30 on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then the Tom Abraham Show will take over at 9:30, and he will go until 2. So we're doing a little bit of or till 12. My bad. He'll go till 2. Is it 2, Bailey? Does he usually go till 2? Yeah. So Talking Ball will go till 9:30, and then we will fill some gaps. But it'll be a good morning. It'll be a good week there in Nashville. So make sure you have the app downloaded because all 3 shows, Talking Ball, the Tom Abraham Show, The Drive with Wes and Steve will all be there live. You will hear coaches, players. Make sure you head to our YouTube page. WCZN TV 977ESPN.com. Head to our YouTube page because there you will be able to watch all of the videos from the coaches and players throughout the week there in Nashville. First stop for us in Nashville. First time we've been in Nashville for SEC Media Days. We have been to Atlanta. We have been to Hoover. But this will be the first stop in Nashville. Again, 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Feel free to join the show. Feel free to join the program this morning as we have got plenty of stuff to talk about. Again, a busy recruiting weekend for both Alabama and Auburn. And what kind of craziness. You had the Major League Baseball draft going on last night. Another record night for the SEC. Another record night for LSU. We will talk about that. A record night for Vanderbilt. Of course, we're talking Major League Baseball draft. And then we have the craziness that is going on in Evanston, Illinois with the Northwestern football program. We've got to touch on that a little bit. It is a saga that is just it's all not good news. Not good news if you have paid attention to the news regarding the Wildcat football program and head coach Pat Fitzgerald. And then the craziness that is going on in Morgantown with Bob Huggins. Over the weekend, some new light coming there surrounding Bob Huggins and the West Virginia basketball program. And it's just all craziness. Plenty of craziness going on there. But we turn our attention back to, so all that stuff is what we will get through this morning here on Talking Ball. But we talked about SEC Media Days, getting ready for that. And we mentioned that it was a crazy weekend, a big weekend for recruiting-wise for both Alabama and Auburn. Alabama, Drew, getting a couple players and even having to go across the country and across the world to get one. And part of me wonders when Nick Saban took that trip to Italy if he did not just have a stop there in Bavaria.
No, he didn't. But this the gentleman that brings these kids from Europe stops at Alabama every year to give him kids to take a look at, because this kid was a linebacker that plays for a club team in Germany. And so it's interesting the way that process goes. He comes to Alabama's camp each and every year, and we're going to talk to Rodney Orr of TiderInsider.com about that, because he had a chance to have a conversation with the gentleman that brings his kids to the United States each and every year. And they go to multiple camps. They don't just go to Alabama, of course. He goes to a lot of the best ones in the country because he thinks, he wants to give these kids the exposure to big-time college football, because he believes he has athletes that can play on that level. Okonoronko, I'm doing the best I can. Justin Okonoronko, he's the kid that flipped from Maryland. He was committed to Mike Loxley and those guys. He committed there after doing a great job at their camp, but then he camped at Alabama, and But Brandon Collier is the gentleman, the American that played in the CFL, played in the NFL. And he's kind of the liaison. He travels Europe, and he looks for players. And actually, it's weird. Their football season, American football season,
right,
is going on now. And so they have to kind of take time away from their schools and their club teams to come tour the United States for several days and then go back, because the young man's already played in a game since he got the offer and flipped to Alabama. So it's interesting, but as he said, he always stops at Bama, and this kid made a strong first impression. He measured 6'3", 224. He's only been playing football, and this is not surprising considering he's of German descent. He's only played organized football for 3 years, so he's still learning the game. He's going to be a linebacker, very likely, either inside or outside on the college level. but he's somebody that had played safety at first, and so he's learning the positions, and again he ran like a 4.5 4.40. His shuttle time was 4.06, which is like something obscene. He basically earned his offer. I mean, Nick Saban was actually. You said Italy. He wasn't at Italy, but he was at a speaking engagement when the camp started and got a phone call from his director of player personnel, Bob Welton, and said, man, you need to get back here as soon as possible to watch this kid work out and watch his film because Nick Saban likes to eyeball these kids and see how big they are. They time them. They work them out. It's just like a combine, almost like in the camp setting. And so he did that, and as soon as he saw the kid work out and saw the film of his workout, he had a meeting with him and offered him a scholarship, and then the rest is history because it looked like the kid was going to go to Maryland. And I'll just be honest, when Mike Loxley offers a guy, I take that very seriously because if you think about last year's cycle, he did the same thing with Kobe Prentice, who had a nice freshman year for Alabama as a wide receiver. He offered Kobe and had him committed before Alabama turned up the heat. Then Alabama worked the kid out and offered him. And so I think this is the part of the recruiting process for Saban that's back to normal. They signed that supposed great recruiting class on paper back in the COVID cycle, but that one ended up, there's a lot of those guys that are gone because they weren't able to eyeball them until they got to campus. They weren't able to work them out. And there were some dudes that just, the way Saban puts his recruiting classes together, it just didn't work out.
Right.
Because Saban's not really worried about it at all. And again, this is no shock too. He doesn't recruit out of a magazine. He doesn't know what your star rating is or anything like that. He wants to see how big you are, if you have the measurables, the speed. Of course, now with the NIL era, who your inner circle is, what do they want? Like Deion would say, ain't getting nothing. A lot of them, but as far as he wants to see, how you're approaching everything, and so this kid obviously is raw. I mean, he's certainly going to have to – I would think that he would redshirt as a freshman probably or be on special teams because, again, he's so new to the game.
Right.
But the measurables are there. And, I mean, and I knew when he decommitted from Maryland on Saturday, I was like, after what I had heard about the camp, I was like, this is probably – not was I expecting it as fast as it happened on Sunday, like morning? No. But I thought, okay, Alabama is gonna very likely get this kid. I sent out some messages to some folks that I trust. I said, hey, you better be on the look for this. I was like, this kid's probably going to end up flipping. And then, as you said, that they weren't done because they ended up actually with 3 guys in one day yesterday.
All right, we'll get to the other 2 here in just a second, but let's get out to the phone line. Steeler Mike with us real fast. Good morning, sir.
What's going on, guys? Good morning. 2 quick questions. Number one, and I just don't follow enough. What is the plan for 2024 moving on with the SEC as far as pods? What are you guys hearing on that? And number 2, on Monday, when Texas A&M goes, what time will Drew be there to try to get Jimbo's autograph and try to ask him out for dinner? Talk to y'all soon. Thanks.
Well, as far as 2024 goes, the SEC football schedule has been out. It's not going to be pods or anything like that. It's just going to be one division, and it's going to be everybody. It's going to be all 16 teams lined up.
Top 2 go to Atlanta.
Top 2 best winning percentages will go to Atlanta from there, and that's how 2024 is going to play out. There's not going to be the pods. There's not going to be any of that. It's just going to be one big happy family.
Yeah, you're not going to know. Like, there's what all you know right now is who you're playing within the conference.
Right.
And then most of your out of league, out of conference games. In fact, those, and those are really the only dates right now. The dates of your out of conference games. They have not set up the SEC schedule yet, and that'll be set up later as far as the dates when you play.
Yes, but
in
who you're
September,
playing,
October,
you just
and November.
Don't know the
you
dates.
just know the opponents.
Yes.
Like that was the big deal because Alabama and Georgia are playing. We do know the location. It's going to be in Tuscaloosa. It's not going to be in Athens, but we don't know the date yet.
Right.
We're pretty sure it's going to be late September, maybe early October, but we don't know.
We know Alabama has Tennessee.
Yeah.
We know Auburn has Georgia.
Right now,
Auburn
they just
and
got
Alabama together.
one permanent opponent right now, and that for Alabama, that's Auburn, and for Auburn, it's Alabama. Now, Scott and I have talked about this. Within a couple years, we're not going to be shocked at all if they switch to the 6-3, and that'll be 6 rotating opponents and 3 permanent. We'll see, because, again, like we've said, it's about the money. And so they're trying to get more money out of the SEC office to do that, and we think they're going to switch to a 9-game schedule at that point in time. Now, if they keep the 8, if Disney and ESPN and whatnot don't want to fork over more money, could they stick with the 1-7? Yes, but everybody pretty much thinks that it's a money move, and that the SEC will go to 3-6.
And it all goes back to the SEC when they negotiated their television rights deal with ESPN. It was an 8-game schedule. Texas and Oklahoma were not even mentioned in that deal because they were not part of the SEC the last time the SEC did their TV rights deal. Now they are a part of it. Now will ESPN give the SEC more money to do those 9 games? If they do, the SEC will go to 9 games just like that. It'll happen. Hey, I tell you what, let's get a break in. Thanks for the phone call, Steeler Mike. When we get back, we'll talk more college football recruiting, as well as what's going on in Northwestern. It is not a great look for Pat Fitzgerald.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
They were waiting on a trooper for a wreck in Joppa at the 69-67 intersection. That one may have had a minor injury involved. One in Decatur, Beltline, and Valley Park reported with injuries. It should be just about ready to wrap up. Sparkman and Oakwood reported with the traffic signal out. Haven't heard an update on that one. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff, Popeyes, Skywatch Traffic Center.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Gunner's Landing is one of the Tennessee Valley's finest golf experiences. Just 35 minutes from downtown Huntsville, Gunner's Landing's 18-hole championship Jewel is open to the public 7 days a week. Located in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, Gunner's Landing offers you a golf experience like no other. With beautiful Lake Gunnersville views throughout the round, Gunner's Landing is golf the way nature intended. Gunner's Landing's Club Repair Shop offers a full range of services, including re-gripping and adjusting the lofts and lies of your clubs, even putters. Since the work is done in-house, your clubs will be returned to you in a timely manner. Unmatched in the North Alabama area, it is Gunner's Landing. Schedule your tee time today at gunnerslanding.com. That's gunnerslanding.com.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner of University Kia, letting you know we are proud supporters of Crimson Tide football. Stop into University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including the all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com for all our great offers. And get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today. Because we want to see you in a Kia. Roll Tide!
Heading into your Monday night, expect a mostly clear sky. Low temperatures going to be falling into the mid and upper 60s for the overnight. Heading into your Tuesday, it looks like we're going to be seeing plenty of sunshine. High temperatures warming back up into the low 90s for the afternoon. A Tuesday night looks to see a mostly clear sky. Low temperatures falling back down into the upper 60s. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
And now, a man who knows what you ate for breakfast.
Time now for the biggest thinker of them all.
He knows it all. He is Drew DeArmond. Listen to Drew and Scott Tyson weekday mornings. It's Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, there we go. Welcome back. 256-576-4977. It is Talking Ball live from Bill Penny Toyota, sitting out here in the service department. They can take care of all your service needs Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and then on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. And before the break, we were talking a little bit of recruiting. Alabama, we updated one, but Drew, they had a busy weekend as well. They got two more. One for the 2026 cycle, but they also got a couple more as well for 2024, which bumped their 247 rankings up about 13 spots.
Yeah, no doubt. And then Justin Okoronkwo, we talked about him. Been working on that on the break, but he committed first and in the morning, and then they added two more kids later in the day, one in the middle of the afternoon, and then one, Zabian Brown, the final one, had been on the docket. He's from Mater Dei, same high school as Bryce Young. He's a cornerback. He had moved from the state of Texas in middle school, and his family had been in California ever since. But he had come to Alabama's camp since he was a freshman, and basically caught Nick Saban's eye back in that time period. And so he commits to Alabama basically over USC. I mean, Ohio State recruited him, but the final two for Zabian was Alabama and USC. He commits to Alabama. He's going to be a corner totally. He can potentially maybe play the nickel spot, but I believe they love him as a corner. And again, he plays for one of the best high school programs. Now, Bruce Rollinson, their longtime coach for 30-plus years, Scott, he has retired. So the program will be undergoing a little bit of change, but it should still be one of the best programs in the country, no doubt about it. But Zabian was, if you've been following Alabama recruiting, and basically the way it started to go, and I don't know that it'll do this every cycle, but it's certainly, I think it would be something to watch, is that after the camp season, which is June, and when they have official visits too, because the visits process starts in June, Alabama has a handful of guys at least that usually officially visit. You kind of set the parameters there. Most of the time, at least in Bama's case, and really as I've watched this, most schools, they don't commit on the visit. Like you're talking about, hey, I'm committed, and usually it just sets the stage, and they have a really good visit. And a lot of times they'll camp at the same time. As far as you take the official visit on a camp weekend, you can work out, go to camp if you want. A lot of times they like you to, because they can get a look at you physically. And again, you have a great time on the visit. You go home, you talk to your inner circle, your loved ones. And then what's been happening is they set up these maybe a week down the road, or 2 weeks, and they set up an announcement time after they've taken 2 or 3 of these visits, and then they'll commit. Does the verbal commitment mean anything till they sign in December?
No, it does not mean anything, because the recruiting doesn't stop. Other schools will even go harder at you lots of times once you make that commit. If somebody from –
Well, we talked about Cam Coleman last week.
Yeah.
Cam Coleman shocked a lot of people and then it turns out that he has family in Houston, family near College Station, but he's from Phoenix City. He's a 5-star wide receiver. I mean, I was thinking the whole time that Auburn was in the best spot, and I thought he would commit there maybe in the summer or early fall. And then all of a sudden, boom, out of nowhere, he commits to Texas A&M. Even surprised some of their folks, because talked to some last week on the recruiting blitz, and he commits to Texas A&M.
Yeah.
And then you're thinking, wow, now Do I still think he could sign with Auburn in the end? Absolutely. But he kind of shocked some folks. He committed to Texas A&M. But, again, it's non-binding, and so it's just interesting that sometimes a curveball like that can come out of nowhere. But he'd visited 4 times, too, it turned out. So a lot of times you don't really realize how many times a kid's been on campus in the last few months. But that was a case where he didn't say, I'm setting up a date on, June 28th.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go public. He just all of a sudden went public. But in many cases, like what Xavier Brown did, they set up a date. They go ahead and do that. And then Alabama got a 2026. Now, I know what I'm saying, 2 years in advance. So buckle up for this.
Yeah, it's going to be.
But the kid from Carrollton, Georgia, he's going to be a center or guard. His name's Zakai Helton. Alabama's made big-time inroads at that school. They've got some kids in the 24 class and the 25 and 26 that they're recruiting over there. This kid's from 26. He had a really good camp at Alabama. He committed yesterday verbally, and then the final one that did. And this guy was basically, and he's the final one. Pardon me. The Xavier Brown was expected, I should say, as I told you, the Aquanaronquo, he wasn't completely expected that quick. I mean, I'd heard Alabama really liked him, wanted to flip him, but again, that one kind of came out of nowhere, kind of like Cam Coleman. But again, when you looked at this kid, this center prospect from Carrollton, Georgia, Zakai Helton, he had basically announced something 3 or 4 days ago, and it looked like it might be Alabama. It ended up being the case with Xavier Brown. This date had been set for a while, and he kind of wanted to end his process, and he committed to Alabama yesterday. So it was a big day for Alabama with 3 commitments.
All right, Auburn had a busy weekend as well.
Yep.
We'll talk about that in a second. Let's go to the phone lines. Brandon's with us. Good morning, Brandon.
Morning. I talked to Drew over the weekend. I was talking about Mr. Daniel Calhoun from over Roswell, Georgia. Dude's a monster. 6'6", 355. I've laid eyes on him, watched him play. He's nasty. He's a Bama legacy, committed to Georgia. And I'm just wondering, were we ever warm on this kid? Was he ever? Yeah. I mean, we lost out to him, and I understand NIL is a big deal now. I just was wondering kind of what his recruitment looked like. What did we know about what was going on with him? Because that's a guy I feel like we need.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. Alabama was on the extreme short list for him. If you want to say, I guess it was probably Georgia over Alabama and Texas. But they were definitely in it until he announced. But it was basically thought and assumed about, I'd say, at least a week out that he was very likely going to end up at Georgia. And that Alabama, still needs a big-time tackle in this class. But, as far as interior offensive linemen, I would watch William Sanders, who's a guard prospect from Brookwood down the road in Tuscaloosa, who's got offers from Mississippi State and a few other Power 5 and SEC-level schools. He's kind of a guy that's kind of started to blow up before his senior season. That he's another one like Aquanaronquo, the kid from Germany who had a really good camp at Alabama, did a great job and earned his offer. Saban wanted to see him in pass protection, wanted to see, how he matched up in the camp. He did a great job. And then, I would say, and then Casey Poe from Lindell, Texas, he may be the best interior offensive lineman prospect in the class. He's going to very likely commit to Alabama sometime in July. So I still think Alabama's going to have a big July. Now, Calhoun is a tackle. There's no doubt. As you said, he's a monster. He's probably a right tackle. He could end up sliding inside to guard, but definitely Alabama wanted him. It's just, at least as of now, Georgia's got a monster offensive line class, and he's part of it, and they were able to gain his verbal commitment. But like Scott just got through saying before we went to break, hey, do any of these verbal commitments mean anything right now? Not too much, so because the NIL deals are kind of verbal too. At least from the standpoint of these collectives, I would think they would want you to get on campus and sign your papers before you start getting your NIL money, but who knows with all the Wild Wild West stuff. But again, I would think that, with Daniel Calhoun, I'm sure Alabama will keep recruiting him, but they've got some other guys like a Jordan Seaton at IMG, and Alabama signed a really good offensive line class last year. I still think they'd like to sign at least 4. But again, I think some of those are guys I've already previously mentioned.
Well, and I'm seeing a flyer, and I've tried to look into it, where it shows that one of our DBs left and went to Colorado. And this guy's chirping around his mouth saying that they are more technically proficient in their strength and conditioning program, teaching technique, than what Alabama does. And I'll be honest with you, I'm trying to figure out what the hell he's talking about.
Well, you're talking about Demoye Kennedy. He's an inside backer now. He and Jarquez Robinson both did leave Alabama to go to Colorado. Jarquez was a program guy who had been there 4 years, redshirted, hadn't played much but special teams. And I understood he left before the end of spring, before A-Day, like the week before. He was trying to find a place to play and get on the field.
Right.
And he was, I think he's also a kid, like Scott said before, who graduated, and probably has graduated since that time. And so he's got his degree. He can go wherever he wants to go. So more power to him. Now, Demoye, he tore his ACL last year during the season and was out for the majority of it. He hasn't played a ton. I believe he's from Theodore, where C.J. Mosley is. Hadn't played a ton of football for Alabama. Never really got completely into the linebacker rotation. I know he was saying they're more technical at Colorado. I also know they're 1-11, and they got rid of just about all their players. And so,
and that's what I'm trying to figure out is what is more technical about weightlifting? See weight, pick weight up, over and over and over.
Well, what's more technical is Demoye Kennedy will probably actually be on the field at Colorado and not getting splinters in his ass like he would have at Alabama.
Well, I agree with you there. Roll Tide, brother.
Thanks, Brandon. Let's get a break in. When we come back, we're going to talk some more college football, and we'll delve into this Northwestern situation and what's going on in West Virginia. It's a matter of did he or did he not? A lot of things to get through coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Heading into your Monday night, expect a mostly clear sky. Low temperatures going to be falling into the mid and upper 60s for the overnight. Heading into your Tuesday, looks like we're going to be seeing plenty of sunshine. High temperatures warming back up into the low 90s for the afternoon. The Tuesday night looks to see a mostly clear sky. Low temperatures falling back down into the upper 60s. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Sounds like we may be getting a wreck in on Pulaski Pike south of Sparkman. Just got it updated to a no injury. One in Joppa, 69 and 67, did have an injury. And we had one at Beltline and Valley Park in Decatur that reported injury. It should be clear. Sparkman and Oakwood, they've been having problems with the traffic signal all morning. D&L Refrigeration repairs heating and air conditioning units for homes and businesses. D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane, Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Philip Love of not only Eagle Insulation, now he represents Eagle Companies. Eagle through the years have added several companies to help individuals or builders through their construction renovation process. Eagle is known to represent quality, efficiency, and professionalism. Philip, I know you do insulation, but do you do masonry?
We do.
Do you do grading, erosion control, and dirt hauled off?
We do.
Do you do afterpaint, which includes shower doors, mirrors, shelving blinds, and bath hardware?
Yes, we do, Wes.
Do you do landscaping and irrigation?
Yes, we do.
So basically, Eagle can help you all along your process of building your house or doing renovations. So do you do plumbing?
We do not, Wes, but we can find somebody to do it.
Just give them time. They'll be there. Anyway, call Eagle Insulation at
256 888-755-1556.
Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Call Eagle today.
Thanks, Wes.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
There's the phone and no one to answer.
256-576-4977.
And as a result, we got many, many phone calls and letters.
Give us a call on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline today. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you on a Monday morning, 256-576-4977. That's how you can be a part of the show, be a part of the program this morning. And let's go out there. Mark from Huntsville with us this morning real fast. Good morning, Mark.
Hey, morning, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Morning.
Hey, go Stallions, by the way. I'm one of the few Huntsville fan, callers that actually goes to the Stallions games, and I know, of course, y'all may or may not have talked about them winning the whole shebang, but I do like the USFL. I didn't know if y'all would make a comment. And boy, I have another question too, but what are y'all's comments on the future of the USFL?
Well, I mean, back-to-back champs, man. That's all I can say. They beat the Pittsburgh Maulers.
Skip Holtz, though, does he deserve another chance to coach college football?
I mean, it's a possibility. He may get another opportunity. I mean, he had a good run, pretty decent run at Louisiana Tech, as you know. I mean, he worked for his father, Lou Holtz, for many years. He was in college coaching for the majority of his career. He's been the 2-time champion of the USFL. He's been the coach of the Birmingham Stallions both years. Certainly, they were more dominant last year, but still won it this season. And I believe it was 28-12.
But now so Birmingham has won it 2 years. The USFL has announced they're coming back next year. They're going to be a third year.
Yeah.
I mean, when do we start thinking that this USFL spring football, I mean, it is what it is. It's spring football. It is not college. It is not the NFL. But, I mean, it's making a way into the not mainstream, but it's making a way because it'll be back for year number 3. It's still here.
I never, it was hard for me to find because it was on FS1. So I never saw, much of it. It was on a little bit of a different network this year, a little bit of a different TV schedule. So it wasn't seen as much. So I'll be interested to see how much longer it lasts or how much longer before they start talking merger with the XFL, because I don't think both of them can survive.
Right.
So we'll see. I mean, and then it was interesting because the XFL wrapped up first, and I didn't even know the USFL had started until I think they were about 3 weeks in. So, I mean, it's because the leagues are not going on exactly at the same time. So it's going to be interesting to see what the future of them is. But, again, congrats to Skip. Congrats to the Birmingham Stallions. And it was a little bit different this year because at least not every game was played in Birmingham nearly. And then, of course, once again, the one smart thing I think they did was having the playoff games and then the championship game in Canton, Ohio. That's pretty cool.
Right.
But, again, I don't know about the long-term viability of spring football. I still don't buy it.
Let me ask you this. The one thing that I was encouraged with is being at all the games. I think I missed one, but having 38,000 show up for we'll call it the South Division. Of course, to have that, of course, it's a beautiful stadium there where UAB plays, but and to have a crowd that at times, actually was loud enough to where, you kind of felt like a college game. Matter of fact, that the Birmingham quarterback a couple of times would kind of, raise his hands up like, quiet down, we're on offense. It was at that moment that I was thinking, you know what, this thing has got a real good chance to maybe be something special. You think it's the distance that maybe Birmingham, if it's not Birmingham, maybe the city of Birmingham, if it were in Huntsville, I know that Birmingham and Huntsville's not that too far, away, but I just wonder if it's one of those things where, it may do well, but, it's kind of one of those things where I would say if it were in Huntsville, do you think it would be even more successful, or it's better in Birmingham?
Well, I mean, I think it's done fine in Birmingham so far. I mean, they put the league in Birmingham for the first season, so it was the epicenter of it, and then they've had a good team. It's kind of been a perfect storm.
Well, think about this, though. Spring football is such a niche.
It is.
That I think you have to put it in a market where you're going to have the ability to get more people. If you put it in Huntsville, you're not going to get 30,000. You're not going to get 25,000. I think you're going to get maybe 10 because the amount of people that you can draw from is smaller.
Yeah.
In Birmingham, at least you have a little bigger metro. Yes, I know Birmingham is not whatever the biggest city, but Huntsville is. But the surrounding area, you got more people to pull from. And I think that is why.
Including Huntsville.
Yeah, and Protective Stadium is a good stadium for it to be played in.
And it's a good size.
Yes. There's nowhere in Huntsville you're going to play that. You're not going to play it at Alabama A&M. That's the best stadium to play it at up here, and trust me, that is not where you want to play it for a lot of reasons other than football. But Protective Stadium in Birmingham is a great venue for it, and I think that's why it'll at least succeed in Birmingham. The league may not stay around for 10, 15 years, but Birmingham will be successful.
Hey, well, last thing I want to mention is real quick. I got to mention Alabama football real quick. They're playing at South Florida. I'll hang up and listen to this one. I've heard recruiting is the reason we're doing it, but I was wondering why we're going to South Florida instead of playing a home game there. And I'll hang up and listen to that answer. Thank you.
Well, he just answered it. It's recruiting.
It's recruiting, but it's also the fact that Alabama will kind of go anywhere to play. That they started the neutral site games.
Yeah, and it's hard to find people that want to play home and home.
Right, and so now you're scheduling a home and home. And, at the time, South Florida was not as bad as when they made this game with South Florida. South Florida was not a really bad program. Now they're taking their lumps right now, but they're on their way back.
Well,
and it's in Tampa.
They've struggled for a while. I think the majority of the reason this was signed is because of recruiting. Nick Saban did it years ago in Atlanta because Alabama was trying to make inroads there in recruiting, and they did and have, and they've had a lot of success. Like Keon Keeley. Keon Keeley came out of the Tampa area last year. So they've been recruiting, and they just got a commitment from Jameer Grimsley from Tampa Catholic, a cornerback prospect. They've had a lot of success recruiting in South Florida. and over the years, especially with the wide receivers, the Jerry Judys, the Amari Coopers, and all that. So they're trying to keep a stronghold in Florida, and that's the reason that they gave South Florida a trip to Tampa. And let's not misunderstand something. Alabama should whack them by 40. I mean, that's just the way it is. In the past, they have had some good teams. Charlie Strong had a good team when he first got there, and ironically, he's part of the staff now once again at Alabama off the field as far as an analyst. He had some success there, and they've had other guys that were there that were able to win football games. It's been a while now, no doubt about it, but again, we'll see. But South Florida, their program is still relatively, I want to say, I'd have to look it up, it's probably only around 20 years old, somewhere around there, 20, 25 years old. And so, and ironically, back during before Saban got there, there was thought that at one time one of their previous head coaches might end up being a candidate at Alabama. So, we'll see. Jim Leavitt,
yes.
he was mentioned heavily in an Alabama coaching search. Didn't end up happening, and Leavitt kind of stayed there, and then had really good success for a few years, and then it kind of plateaued. But again, it's a talent-rich area. It's a growing university. If they could find the right guy, I think they could win. But Jeff Scott never could get it going. He got Blake Barnett over there, but they had, I think, one year where they when Blake was there, I think they won 7 games, something like that. But Jeff Scott never could really get it going consistently, and now once again they're having to kind of start over. But again, I think the real reason that they are going to South Florida is simply recruiting. They're near South Florida in the Tampa area, and so the Tampa area, South Florida has been good to Alabama, and so they want to continue to have a presence there. And heck, I'm almost expecting and I am expecting it to be in Brandon's going. He's already called in. He got season tickets for $200. So it's going to be a majority is going to be Alabama fans. I'd say at least 2/3 of the crowd.
All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, continue the conversations. 256-576-4977.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
That wreck that we reported on Pulaski Pike is actually on Jordan, just south of Sparkman. It's no injury. 69 and 67 in Joppa should have a trooper on the scene. They're trying to clear that one. Beltline and Valley Park in Decatur should be clearing now. And we had Sparkman and Oakwood. They were having problems with the traffic signal there. Be careful and watch out for it. You could fly Breeze nonstop to Orlando, Las Vegas, or Tampa, starting at just $49. What are you waiting for? You could get to the fun faster, and you could book at flybreeze.com. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun. So you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
Now try Babbel free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
New coordinators.
That's as good as money, sir.
New quarterback.
It's my quarterback.
Same coach.
All right, and you all may be taking the week off, all right, this week, but I'm not.
We are your home of the Alabama Crimson Tide. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. And after our show ended on Friday, all of the news breaking out of Evanston was not good. Pat Fitzgerald initially suspended for 2 weeks because of an article that came out in the Daily Northwestern in terms of hazing, sexual assault, and suicidal ideation. Former Northwestern football player told the Daily that there was hazing, a hazing conduct investigated by the university involved some stuff that was just, you read this and you just kind of shake your head. They had a drill, Drew, called running.
Yeah,
and the
not
player,
really a drill, but yeah.
Yeah, you read this stuff and it's kind of sickening at some point. Some of the stuff that was going on there, so much so that the university has said, we did not know all of this stuff that was going on when we initially suspended Pat Fitzgerald for 2 weeks. We did not know of all of the information, and they were kind of hoping that some of the information would not get out as well. And so now they are going to review Pat Fitzgerald's suspension of 2 weeks and possibly be longer for the Northwestern head football coach.
Yeah, I read Adam Rittenberg's article. We've had him on the show from ESPN, and I read the statement from Pat Fitzgerald, and he's been the football coach there. He was on staff even shortly after his playing career ended when he was an All-American at Northwestern. And as you know, he took over when the head coach passed away. It was kind of like, honestly.
Was that Gary Barnett?
No, Gary Barnett had left to go to Colorado. It was not. It was, he was. Basically, he had a heart attack. It's probably the only other situation very similar to what happened to Mississippi State with Mike Leach, that the head coach passed away.
Randy Walker.
Randy Walker, yes. And Gary Barnett actually coached Fitzgerald at Northwestern, and then he left. But Pat came back, was a defensive assistant under Coach Walker, and Coach Walker tragically passed away unexpectedly, and Pat took over the job. I think he's been there since around 2006 as head coach, and his name every now and then has come up at Notre Dame and other places, but not really. I mean, he's been a lifer at Northwestern. He's one of their most famous alums. They'd recently upgraded their facilities quite a bit. I know they're coming off a terrible year. I think they beat Nebraska in game 1, and over in Ireland, I think it was the only game they won. I think they ended up 1-11. But yeah, all this. The problem is the original report came out It was some hazing that they had taken place, that a student athlete, a football player, had reported to the administration. They started looking into it. They found some stuff. They suspended him for 2 weeks. But what it sounds like is it's like a freight train kind of, or like an avalanche rolling downhill.
Yeah, more stuff came out.
There's more stuff coming out. There's more players and people coming forward and complaining about the culture there. And when Fitzgerald released his statement, it sounds like he didn't know, or at least he claimed he didn't know anything about it. And definitely the people above him, the administration, wasn't aware of what was going on within the athletic department and the football program. It just, the more that comes out, it doesn't sound good for Pat Fitzgerald right now.
No, and I have a feeling that 2 weeks is going to be a whole lot longer if, dare we say, he even has a job there at Northwestern. I mean, the more stuff that keeps coming out, the harder it is to believe that he will have a football job there at Northwestern this season.
Well, I mean, it could end up being, and you're about to talk about it, you already teased it about Bob Huggins, but that's already an interim situation because, as you know, Scott, most of the time coaching changes happen in the off season, and what we mean by off season is right after the regular season into recruiting. Right now, I don't consider this the off season for football. This is we're about to hit talking season heavy. You talked about being at SEC Media Days in Nashville next week, and quite frankly, football-wise, you're less than a month from fall camp. So there's no going out and hiring a coach, man. You're going to have to take over in an interim situation. That's what Fitzgerald had to do when Randy Walker passed away years ago, because I believe it was once again around this time of year that he passed. And so they promoted Pat, but he also earned the job because they played good football.
Right.
And him being an alum was even a bigger boon, and he's been there ever since. Now, though, can he survive this? It's what you just got through saying. There's a lot coming out, a lot more that continues to come out by the hour, and it just doesn't look good.
It's not good. And then the West Virginia situation with Bob Huggins is this is just absolutely crazy when I saw this. So Bob Huggins, we all know what happened, the drunk driving incident, the DUI in Pittsburgh. We all know about all that. Well, we have this ceremonial farewell. Bob Huggins resigns from West Virginia. They get a new interim coach. Yeah. Well, now over the weekend, Bob Huggins and his attorneys say he never resigned from West Virginia. He never formally resigned from the school, and that the school needs to reinstate him as the head coach. His attorney says Huggins never signed a resignation letter, never communicated a resignation to anyone at West Virginia. According to the West Virginia University public comments, are not only false, but appear to be an after-the-fact attempt to remedy the breach of employment.
Well,
so Bob
sounds
Huggins,
like a money grab to me.
Yeah, Bob Huggins' attorney says the coach never resigned, never sent a letter in, and that they need to immediately reinstate him as head coach.
Show me the money. That sounds like that's happening, because they're never going to reinstate him. Because I saw some statements from his daughter right after it happened. They were talking about how no one had communicated with him, nobody had a meeting with him. This was a decision by the president and the board of trustees and stuff like that. They just decided that Bob Huggins was done and they were going to move on. And I remember Jeff Goodman tweeting that I guess someone probably from the administration inside the program had told him that Huggins had an emotional meeting with the team and told them that he was leaving and that he wouldn't be back because he was told that, and I'm sure. And so now
his wife sent a letter to the university back in June. This is what the university says was the letter of resignation, and I'm going to read this, and you tell me if it states he resigned or not. Please accept this correspondence as my formal notice of resignation as West Virginia University head basketball coach, and as notice of my retirement from West Virginia University, effective immediately.
That means You're done, Bob.
That was the letter from his wife.
You're getting nothing unless they just, well, they might give him, they might still give him retirement in state or whatever, and he may draw state retirement. But as far as some balloon payment or whatever for going away gift, it's this. You're getting nothing, Bob. You and Neil Brown are both going to be out of jobs probably after this season, because if West Virginia football is the train wreck that they're predicting, and when you put JT Daniels on your football team, that's what happens, then you may survive one extra year, but you're probably getting fired and you're starting over in pretty much everything.
Well, the university says it will not accept Mr. Huggins' revocation of his resignation, nor will it reinstate him as head coach.
Shocking!
Bob
After
Huggins,
that letter.
Bob Huggins' lawyer has said that to get him in a better spot to coach, Huggins has voluntarily entered rehab.
So I guess he's not done then, so watch out, everybody.
Oh, as the world turns.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where Bob might end up, but
I don't know. What a situation.
Look out, group of 5. That's all I'm saying.
A situation.
Hey!
Hour 2's underway.
Hey, man, if Ray Harper retires, he's doing a great job at Jacksonville State, but hey.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Check out VSiN's catalog of original podcasts, daily and weekly programming to keep you in the know when you're on the go. Only at VSIN.com. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
Heading into the All-Star break, Atlanta's still the leader to win the World Series at plus 375. Tampa's plus 550. The Dodgers plus 600. Two-time home run derby champ Pete Alonso enters tonight's Major League Baseball home run derby as the clear-cut favorite to win the event. He's at plus 300. He's aiming to become the second player in baseball history to win the Derby 3 times. He's followed by 2019 runner-up Vlad Guerrero Jr. at plus 360. First-time participant Luis Robert Jr. at plus 500. Last year's winner Julio Rodriguez is at plus 600. Dolis Garcia at plus 700. Mookie Betts plus 850. Randy Arozarena plus 1,000. Adley Rutschman at plus 1,400. Get the latest lines and more at vsin.com.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And just like that, we are back and we are running off hour number 2 here of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you on a Monday morning. We are live from Bill Penny Toyota, sitting out here in the service department, and they are open for you Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and then on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Don't forget, you can also rent a Toyota if you need one while you are here. So that is the Bill Penny Toyota service department. Hour number 2 gets underway. We're going to bring in Drew, our first guest of the morning, and we talked a little Alabama recruiting. We'll get to some Auburn recruiting here as well, but Georgia picking up some monsters on the recruiting trail.
Yeah, we've already kind of been talking about the offensive line class they put together in the 2023 cycle, or excuse me, 2024 cycle. Let me take that. Let me correct myself there. Because I keep, like I say, man, with all these years and dates and all this stuff, but yeah, it's the 2024 cycle. They've got the number 1 class in the country. Of course, it really got rolling when they got Dylan Raiola completely flipped from Ohio State. But since that time, and of course they also have Ellis Robinson, but they've been able to add some big-time people in the trenches, and that's really, to me, what this class is about, because they've been able to we just talked about Daniel Calhoun from Roswell, Georgia, Walton High School. He's committed to Georgia. He just committed to them on the 5th of July, right after the 4th holiday. They've got a ton of guys. Michael Uni as well. Uni is from Corpus Cove, Texas. He's another monstrous offensive tackle. He committed on June the 30th. They got Nyler Daniels from Bergen Catholic, who committed on the 7th. He's another 6'7.5", 370-pound young man. But we're going to talk about all that with our next guest. He's the lead recruiting analyst for Dogs HQ, which is part of On3Sports.com. And he's our good friend Jake Roos, and he's with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Jake, I hope you had a great 4th of July holiday. How are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing well, Drew. I certainly did. Hope you guys did too. And I'll be honest, it wasn't really much of a holiday or a break for us. It was pretty active the whole time.
Yeah.
So kind of getting a little bit of rest, I guess, and maybe this week, hopefully. And we're not even sure that's going to hold up.
And you look at some of the guys that Kirby Smart is bringing in, talented guys, but you look at their size, their weight, and just their physical presence. These are some big dogs that he's bringing in.
Yeah, it's really impressive what Georgia's done in this cycle when you're talking about the offensive line. What stands out to me most about this group, honestly, though, is that we kind of went into this year thinking that it was a down year for offensive line nationally. I think that is still true. But certainly, like, within the immediate area for Georgia, it wasn't like your Charlotte, North Carolinas, or even your Floridas were pretty loaded with offensive line talent. So, they were going to have to go nationally if they wanted to build a class of this caliber, and they did a fantastic job in doing that. You go out, you pull a guy from New York, you pull a guy from Illinois, pull a guy out of Texas. They've got guys kind of scattered around, and it's very impressive to see that they were able to pull that off and sell this program and also switch things up quickly with some of these guys. Now Nair Daniels and Marquise Easley, those were two guys that they'd been in it for a while, but Michael Uni comes to town and feels like a bit of an afterthought. You think that's probably going the way of Michigan, and after one weekend, Georgia's able to switch that narrative up. So they were able to close on some guys in surprising fashion, but they were also able to close on some top targets as well.
Yeah, and Daniel Calhoun was thought at one time to be leaning to Alabama. That's what our caller Brandon, he lives in Rome, Georgia, was calling about. But Georgia was able to get that thing flipped around, and he commits. And the thing is, what I've heard about the cycle this year in 24 is that it's especially at tackle, there's not as many elite guys. But when you look at the class that Georgia has brought in, and they've got, a guy like Calhoun could end up playing tackle, but as I even told Brandon, he could end up sliding inside to guard because, again, I don't know if all 5 of these guys are going to start as a unit together, but there's the thing that sticks out about it is just the massive size. It definitely looks like size and potential offensive tackle candidates is kind of what Kirby Smart and his staff and Stacey Searles were kind of targeting a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. And, I think that for Georgia, you look at the potential next year of, how does this draft cycle go for them? How many guys end up leaving out of this group?
Right.
You feel that you have the opportunity for some young guys to come in and compete. Now, it's going to be tough to win a spot in this rotation. There's some talented guys ahead of them, certainly. But you're going to have an opportunity to get in and compete for some playing time, and I think that that's a huge sell for Georgia. I think that they've been able to kind of get that kind of hammered through young guys' heads this year, and that's why you've got 6 guys in this class. The opportunity is there. I know, too, I've had some people suggest to me that, 6 is a lot. 6 is a big number to take. And, do you want to get some class separation? My thought is absolutely not. With offensive linemen, you take as many of the big guys as you can, and you let God sort it out when they get on campus, man. That is the way to handle it, in my opinion. These guys are not just standing around on street corners. 6'6", 335-pound dudes. Just they don't fall out of the sky. So you take as many as you can when you can, and I think that's been Georgia's model as well.
Yeah.
26 commits, though, right now for the 2024. Yeah, that's a large number. And you look around the country, Michigan has 25, but 26 commits this early.
Yeah, no, it's really it's pretty impressive, to be honest with you, at what they've done. And I've been covering this now for almost 10 years. It's easily not even close the best situation they've been in moving into, mid-July, let alone the season. But, I think for Georgia, they really have focused on, getting guys in early in order to kind of focus on the season. It also gives you the opportunity to kind of narrow your focus on some guys, maybe lock in on some big targets that you want to focus on as well. And then it gives you the chance to get a head start on that 2025 class. So, you kind of cover three bases if you're able to accomplish it in the way that they have. And I think that it's a smart philosophy. It doesn't work all the time. I mean, there's other schools out there that are still, very much in build mode in terms of their numbers. But, Georgia is going into this next, kind of phase of the year with about 10 guys circled on the board, and they're elite names. And, they're kind of going to be able to sit back and really pour in heavily on those guys. I think that that's what's important. I think that, that's something that they had envisioned. And like I said, too, the ability to kind of focus on the season and begin recruiting that next cycle very heavily.
And that's a great point, Jake. We're talking to Jake Ruse, Dogs HQ, because they're the two-time defending national champs, so they're certainly the hottest program in the country. They're taking advantage of being able now to. You already talked about the six-man O-line class. It's scattered throughout the United States, so their net is going all over the country now. Because they've got kids recruited from the state of California in this group. I mean, the backbone is still Georgia, and the state of Georgia is pumping out, great players. But again, it's one of those things where they've been able to build this class quickly. And let's not forget, too, you can still oversign. It's really the 85 you focus on. And so, it also goes back to something you said about how many guys are you going to lose after this year to the draft and the transfer portal. So even though they've got 26 committed, some of these 26 may end up flipping elsewhere, but you've also got enough wiggle room to focus on that group you're talking about to continue to add numbers to it.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. Listen, I tell people this a lot now. I don't think anybody's doing anything shady. I think everybody's playing within the rules to do this, but that 85 number is a suggestion on the roster. I mean, it is. There are ways to get dudes in if you need to get more in than that.
Right.
You got Hope Scholarship. You got NIL plays now.
Hope in Georgia is a good point.
Look, we don't even need to give you a scholarship. You can be a walk-on, and we'll fully pay for your school by, getting you a dealership, sponsorship or something like that. I mean, those things are out there and it's happening. So, you can oversign. You can take those numbers as long as you can make it work. And Georgia has proven very adept at doing that. You can go ahead and bring in as many as you need. Like you said, too, though, that there's going to be some guys, there's probably going to be some defections out of this class. DeMarcus Riddick out of Tilton County in Alabama, I think he's probably headed elsewhere. I think he's going to end up staying in the Hammer State. So Georgia will probably lose a guy there. What does the transfer portal look like after this season? Do guys decide to move on? We saw a pretty good number of them do that last year. So, the era of college football of, the hard 85, the number is always floating, in my opinion. You don't really have a good grasp on it because you have so many factors that you didn't have to deal with even as many as 4 years ago. And so I think that you're putting yourself in a much better and more advantageous spot to sign as many guys as you can and just figure it out later.
Well, you mentioned that it's been a busy time and that you're hoping maybe it kind of cools off here a little bit. Is that an indication that Georgia with 26, they're not going to sign or get many more commits, or can we expect a few more commits from Georgia coming up?
No, I think that they can. I think that they can expect a few more. I mean, you're looking at Justin Williams, one of the top linebackers in the country for this class. Out of Oak Ridge, Texas, out of Oak Ridge High School in Texas, a teammate of Joseph Jonier, who committed to Georgia just recently. You feel pretty good about that one. The real question with that one is, when does he get it done? KJ Bolden is another guy, August 5th, I believe, for him. So you're just over a month out of that one. There's some other names kind of in the pipe right now. It's really a timing thing, and you feel, though, that some of these could go down, pre-season, and probably will. But I think that Georgia is going to, comparatively, I guess I should say, it's going to be slower than it was because it really just doesn't get much hotter than that, to be honest with you.
No, that's when Jake had to run to the grill, get a hot dog, get a cheeseburger, and then run back to the phone. Because
yeah, there's no question.
When that was going on around July the 4th. But, but that is another impressive part of this class. I think that the most impressive part of it thus far has been the trenches work. They got 6 offensive linemen, and then you got defensive linemen like Joseph John from Conroe, Texas, who's already committed. You got, guys like as far as from Justin Green from Lawrenceville, Georgia, on the D-line, Jordan Thomas. They've got quite a haul put together already on both lines of scrimmage.
Yeah, and not too surprising. I mean, what's wild about that? We're talking about the heat of this. In mid-March, they had 0 commits at either position. So in about 3 months, they've been able to reshape the face of both the interior, both interiors, offensive and defensive. It's been very impressive to watch them do that. But it's a main focus for Kirby Smart. It's something he said, and I point back to this all the time. He mentioned it in the opening press conference when he was hired, that he wanted to rework the trenches in Athens, and that's been something that he has been zeroed in on. Just almost obsessively since he got here, since he got the job. And I think that, you continue to see that play out. And, you had Sam Pittman leading it for a while. I think now, though, you've seen Trey Scott come in on the defensive side of things and really revamp that, boost the draft stock of these guys, really be able to sell that aspect of it for Georgia. And then on the offensive line, you've gone through some changes there. Sam Pittman used to lead the way. Then it was Matt Luke and Stacey Searles came in. And Stacey, I think, in this cycle has done as well as either of the previous 2 guys in terms of the haul that he's been able to bring in, especially given what we thought that the haul might be going into this year. So, I think that, it's a dual credit. Georgia is doing a little bit of selling itself right now with some of the draft success and some of the winning they're doing on the field. But also, too, those guys are really some of the best recruiters in the nation as well.
Oh, they really are. Well, you guys do a great job at Dogs HQ, part of On3Sports.com, covering this program and, of course, this recruiting class. I know you do a great job leading the recruiting efforts along with Rusty Mansell, but let everybody know how to follow all you guys' work.
Yeah, you can follow us on Twitter at DogsHQ. That's DAWGS. HQ. You can follow me over at Roost Recruiting. That's REUSE, like reuse recruiting. And then you can check everything out at Dogs HQ, part of the On3 network. Access to the some of the best team sites in America over at On3, and really just proud of how everything has taken shape over there. It's an exciting time, and we encourage people to get over and check it out.
Thank you, Jake.
Thanks.
Hey, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Let's get a break in. When we come back, I'll talk some Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball draft going on last night. Another record night for the SEC, Vanderbilt, LSU, and then some. We'll fill you in when we return. Talking Ball live from Bill Penny Toyota.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got a wreck at Governor's in Montesano. It's looking like it's going to be an injury time. Got one in Decatur, Highway 20 eastbound at the Beltline that reported with injuries. And we had Jordan south of Sparkman. That one ended up being a no injury. Sparkman and Oakwood, they've been having problems with a traffic signal this morning. You could lose up to 4 sizes in 4 weeks with a 2030 Fast Track Weight Loss Program. Find out more at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Eck in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
The Atlanta Braves are rolling, and this loaded roster's on a mission to bring home their 6th straight division crown.
Ozzie swinging it from the left side, and he hits one well to right field. Lots of force on this one. Hello, Chop House. A 2-run homer.
Friday night, the Braves are back from the break and fired up for another interleague battle in Atlanta as they take on the Chicago White Sox. Braves Radio goes on the air at 6:05 Eastern, 5:05 Central on the Braves Radio Network.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Philip Love of not only Eagle Insulation, now he represents Eagle Companies. Eagle through the years have added several companies to help individuals or builders through their construction renovation process. Eagle is known to represent quality, efficiency, and professionalism. Philip, I know you do insulation, but do you do masonry?
We do.
Do you do grading, erosion control, and dirt hauled off?
We do.
Do you do after paint, which includes shower doors, mirrors, shelving blinds, and bath hardware?
Yes, we do, Wes.
Do you do landscaping and irrigation?
Yes, we do.
So basically, Eagle can help you all along your process of building your house or doing renovations. So do you do plumbing?
We do not, Wes, but we can find somebody to do it.
Just give them time. They'll be there. Anyway, call Eagle Insulation at
256-755-1556.
Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Call Eagle today.
Thanks, Wes.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
Sports Talk 24/7 365. Your full-time sports station.
You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work.
Is 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Doesn't anyone do any work around this joint anymore?
Oh, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond hanging out. Bill Penny Toyota last night. The Major League Baseball draft, rounds 1 and rounds 2 being taken off last night. Paul Skeens goes overall number 1. His teammate Dylan Cruz goes number 2. They are the first pair of teammates to go 1 and 2 in Major League Baseball draft history, though it's the third time a school, though, has produced multiple top 3 picks in the same year. 3 of the first 4 picks have been from the SEC, or 3 of the first 4 picks were from the SEC, I should say.
You could even get...
all of them were in the Men's College World Series Finals. It's the first time in Major League Baseball draft history that 3 of the first 4 picks came from one conference. Paul Skeens, LSU to the Pirates. Dylan Cruz, LSU to the Nationals, number 2. And then Wyatt Langford from Florida, 4th to the Rangers.
Well, what I was saying, and pardon me for interrupting, Scott, I was just going to say, if you wanted to get technical and really piss people off, you could say it was all 4 because Matt Clark will never see the light of day in college, but he was signed with Vandy. So, he
Vanderbilt, you bring up Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
they had the first 2 rounds last night, and one Commodore has been selected every year in the Major League Baseball draft since 1991. 30 years they have put someone in the draft every year. That is remarkable numbers there. So far, from day 1, in round 1, in case you are wondering, there were 18 players selected from the Division I ranks. There were 21 players selected from the high school ranks. In round 2, there were 25 players selected from the Division I rank. There were 6 players selected from the high school rank. That is in rounds 1 and in rounds 2. And Alabama, the state of Alabama, high school or college-wise, Grant Taylor from Florence, who did not pitch this year for LSU, was selected as the 51st choice by the Chicago White Sox. And so he is the first in-state player selected in the draft.
Yeah, and he was another. Then they also had another young man picked out of Mississippi State that was from Hoover as well. the outfielder. He was picked in the 50s and that was after Grant Taylor. But Grant Taylor, yes, he got hurt after the fall and had a really good fall. And to show you just how loaded that LSU team was, very likely would have been, their number 2 probably behind Paul Skeens, you would say. And that team was just incredibly loaded. It was Colton Ledbetter, who's from Hoover, and he was drafted 55th overall by the Tampa Bay Rays. So that's another young man who grew up in the state of Alabama. That's him and Grant Taylor as far as from the high school ranks of Alabama that were drafted yesterday. But then also Alabama and Auburn both also lost signees because, again, you knew that going in that there was going to be because Alabama.
Auburn lost 2, I believe, yesterday.
And Alabama coming in, Bryce Eldridge was considered the best two-way player, like pitcher hitter going in. He's from the state of Virginia, but everybody knew he was going in round 1. He went 16th overall to the Giants, so he's never going to see the light of day as far as coming to Tuscaloosa. But again, that was a signee for Alabama that was taken in the first round. And then Auburn lost a prospect also out of the state of Ohio because he would and as you said, they lost 2, but they lost Colt Emerson. He was a signee from Ohio, went 22 to the Seattle Mariners, and then they also lost a middle infielder signee, Kevin McGonigal, went 37th. That was I believe that was still considered the supplemental part of the first round, McGonigal, and he was picked by Detroit, so he'll very likely be moving on as well.
Both Vanderbilt and Arkansas lost 4 players that were commits yesterday in the draft.
Class, yeah,
and most of them, chances are, they will not end up at Arkansas or Vanderbilt, because when you're taking first round, second round, your signing bonus is going to be pretty hefty. Ole Miss lost 2. Mike Bianco Company lost 2 players. Clemson lost 2. Auburn lost 2. The cumulative slot value, LSU with $22 million yesterday. Florida with over $12 million. Wake Forest over $12 million. Ole Miss with $6 million. Virginia with $6 million. And Grand Canyon University, $6.6 million in slot value. So that's just Major League Baseball draft is a little bit different than the NFL
and it's
NBA
even changed
draft.
even more because all the organizations are given a pool of money.
Yes.
And if you like last year, the Mets went over. And so they had to, and they're the Mutts, but they had to, and they got theirs pushed down. They this year, that's the reason their draft pick wasn't as high.
Right.
It got pushed down because they were basically fined for going over slot. And so you've only got so much money you're supposedly allocated to signing these players.
This will make you happy. Speaking of the Mets, as we get into All-Star break, putting our feet up now for Major League Baseball. You got 4 days, I think, of just rest, and you got the Major League All-Star game. So the Padres and the Mets, both at this point, spent enough money that they thought they would both be in first place. Yeah. Neither one of them are anywhere near first place. Both of them are well below the 500 mark. Do you want to know the combined payroll for the Mets and the Padres this season?
I would say at least $650 million.
You are close.
Right.
$775 million.
I'm really not close, Scott. That's $125 million. That's more than the payroll of a lot of teams.
That's why I'm saying you're not close.
Oh, I thought you said I was close.
No. I said you were not close.
And they're not close to being good. They both suck.
$775 million.
Josh Hader to the Braves. Hurry up.
The combined payroll between the Mets and the Padres. And if you are looking at the standings right now, the Mets are 42 and 48 going into the All-Star break. 18.5 games behind the Braves. The Padres are 43 and 47, only 8.5 games back, though, of the Dodgers. The Padres are 6 games back of a wild card spot. The Mets are 7 games back of a wild card spot.
None of them are out of the wild card, so that's unfortunate. But I'm all for Josh Hader being a Brave, as everybody knows. Like, hurry up, Padres, trade Josh Hader to the Braves. So,
$775 million combined payroll between the two teams.
Yeah, I mean, they're not very good, and I'm not a Padres hater. I mean, I do like the old school uniforms and hat.
I do too, but you got to spend money.
But I mean, I'm not a fan of Machado and Soto. I think they're both turds. So, who don't run out half the ground balls they hit and, think that the world revolves around them. But they're both really good players. But, again, neither one. I mean, Soto, he got a ring, I guess, when he was 19 or 20 or whatever, when the Nationals won the World Series. I think he had already come up by then. So.
Well, that's where he made his money. I mean, that's why he got the big contract that he did.
Yeah, and then you got Machado, who he was really kind of toiling in Baltimore on some bad teams, then got traded to the Dodgers, and now has been with San Diego. Now his team's never won a championship, but they've made the playoffs. We'll see if ultimately they can win a championship in San Diego, but they certainly are spending a lot of money. You'd think they needed to have more of a return on the investment.
Well, the Braves do take 2 out of 3 to end the All-Star break against Tampa Bay. They lost yesterday in that one. But if you look around the All-Star break, Ronald Acuna Jr. will not take part in the Home Run Derby. No. Strider will not pitch in the All-Star game. So, yes, the Braves are sending 8 players to the All-Star game, but not all 8 are going to be participating in the All-Star game festivities. So
they're not. And then we saw the first rehab assignment, 35 pitches or so from Max Fried. He seemed to feel good. He'll probably have a couple of more. So hopefully he'll be back soon for Atlanta in that starting rotation.
All right, let's get that break in, because when we come back, Rodney Orr is going to join us, talk Alabama football recruiting. Busy weekend for the Tide over the weekend.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Heading into your Monday night, expect a mostly clear sky. Low temperatures going to be falling into the mid and upper 60s for the overnight. Heading into your Tuesday, looks like we're going to be seeing plenty of sunshine. High temperatures warming back up into the low 90s for the afternoon. The Tuesday night looks to see a mostly clear sky. Low temperatures falling back down into the upper 60s. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a serious injury. Governors in Montesano, that whole area, I'm sure, is going to be very, very slow while they do a full investigation there. Had Highway 20 eastbound at the Beltline in Decatur, working that one. Jordan south of Sparkman may be close to being ready to clear. 67 and Joppa also should be about ready to go. Snelling has direct hire positions for an experienced payroll accountant and a staff accountant. Snelling, how the area's best companies hire talent. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Eck in the 72 and Jeff Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard. Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun. So you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard. It's perfect.
Now try Babbel free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, Check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Tired of the same old menu options everywhere you go? Then you need to try Metro Diner in Huntsville and Madison. The award-winning Metro Diner serves up signature dishes like their Charleston shrimp and grits, famous fried chicken and waffles with strawberry butter, and lots more. Their entire menu is available anytime, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And stop by for brunch on Saturday or Sunday and enjoy the lowest price mimosas in town. Airport Road, Huntsville, and Highway 72 in Madison. In diner or at home, make it Metro Diner.
The Huntsville Sports Commission is responsible for bringing high-level sports entertainment to the Rocket City. In 2023, enjoy events like the CCSA Beach Volleyball Championships, Hometown Lenders Championship, UCI Paracycling Road World Cup, and so much more. To learn more about upcoming events and the Huntsville Sports Commission, visit huntsvillesports.com. The Huntsville Sports Commission. We do sports.
Is it lonely at the top?
Deja vu.
Not at all.
Come on, we're an ace. Everybody knows it.
Thank you for listening to 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
It entertains me, and I enjoy listening on the way home.
Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. We've had a lot of great conversation, a lot of great fun this morning. We picked that conversation back up to what we were talking about in hour number one, and that is a busy weekend for Nick Saban and the Tide on the recruiting trail.
And it's going to be a busy month, and who better than to kind of, tell us about it and detail it than the founder and owner of TiderInsider.com, our good friend Rodney Orr. Rodney, I'm sure, has had a busy morning. He had a busy weekend, and there was especially a busy Sunday, which we detailed in the first hour, Scott. Yeah. Alabama getting 2 commitments in the 24 class, 1 in the 26, and we're going to talk about that with Rodney Orr right now for a few minutes on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Rodney, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Drew and Scott. How are you guys?
We're good. It's a busy Sunday for Alabama, and I know you had a chance to speak to the gentleman that I kind of talked about a little bit, who's the mentor for the young man that was the first to go public and flip from Maryland. I've been saying Okonkwo. I'm trying. I'm learning. I definitely going to have to, but this young man has been just doing the camp circuit for a couple of years, but I thought the piece you had on Tider Insider kind of detailing how all that comes together was interesting, about how it kind of came together for this young man to come to the United States first and foremost, but then also end up as a part of this 2024 Alabama football class.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, Brandon Collier, of course, is who you're referring to.
Yep.
And, he kind of annually brings these players over from Europe. He scouts players throughout Europe and, finds guys that he thinks are worthy of scholarship offers and brings them over here every June. And not just Alabama, takes them around the country to some of the top programs and, exposes them, gets them exposure to these opportunities. And, of course, I call him Justin O. I think that's the best way to do it, Drew.
Yeah.
It's just call him Justin O. But, I think, obviously when Justin came when Brandon brought Justin this summer, he made a really strong impression last month. At the camp, I'm sure you've already passed along the numbers that he put up.
Yeah, crazy.
In the camp. Yeah, it really was extremely impressive, the things that he did. And, he got the offer right away. In fact, it's funny because when I was talking to Brandon yesterday, he was in Germany, because that's where he is. And he was telling me that Coach Saban actually was not at the camp at the time Justin came, that he had a function that he had to attend that was out of town, and Bob Welton, the director of player personnel, was actually filming, Justin's workout. And he called Coach Saban. He said, "Coach, you got to get back as quickly as possible before this kid leaves." He said, because he's a sensation. And, Saban didn't even change clothes. I mean, he came back in his pink sports coat and was, right there at the camp. And when he walked off the field, when Justin walked off the field, and they watched the tape together, and he offered him. So it's a really interesting story.
It really is.
Yeah. Well, and so is how the international kids end up there at Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I said, it's pretty amazing. I mean, when I was talking to Brandon about it, and he just said, look, he said, in Germany, he said, and over there in Europe, he said that basically Alabama's the school. He said, yeah, there's Georgia and there's Ohio State, but he said, Alabama's been doing this for 15 years under Nick Saban, and it's kind of the program. It's every kid's dream to get an offer to Alabama. And when you look at Justin, I think the situation was obvious that Maryland was the school he had committed to. He went to an official visit there with his mother. They gave him the red carpet treatment. It went extremely well, but when it came down to it, it was like, hey, you know what, the only school I'd flip for is Alabama, and that opportunity came available, and he couldn't turn it down. So it's pretty interesting. I will tell you this, too, fortunate enough to have someone close to the Maryland staff, share some information. And they were hoping to keep Justin quiet, under wraps, kind of, that maybe the bigger or the more successful programs, Alabama, Ohio State, etc., would not find out about him, because they knew once these schools did kind of find out about his talent, that it would be very difficult for them to hang on to him. And, of course, the camps got the exposure for him. And, it kind of played out that way, because Maryland feels like he's just a freak athlete.
Well, and I got to say, Rodney, YouTube's a great thing. I looked him up on YouTube, and I got to see him run a 40 and then do some of these drills, the footwork drills. And for a guy that, as you reported in your piece, that measured like 6'3", 224, that he moves really, really well for a kid that size, even though he's raw. Like as it was reported on his club team, as Brandon said, Brandon Collier, he actually started out as a safety. He's still learning the game and hasn't played a lot of linebacker, where he'll likely end up in college.
Yeah, and he did say this too. When I talked about being raw, and Brandon pointed out, he said, look, he said he's been playing, this will be his third year. He has not played American competition, obviously, but he has received extremely good coaching. His coach at this team that he plays for, it's not really a high school team. It's kind of more, like you said, Drew, a club team. But yeah. He mentioned that the coach is a former CFL player, obviously was a college football player and a CFL player, so that he really felt like he had gotten extremely good coaching and preparation. Now, obviously, there are going to be some adjustments here, but I will say this, and I know you guys probably want to move on, but I thought it was interesting. But I thought it was interesting because when I was talking to Brandon, he made the comment. He said, look. And this really caught my attention. I've been following this a long time. And Nick Saban, there's a process in recruiting. Obviously, he gets involved. He's the closer and all of these things. But he said, Brandon mentioned, he said, how many prospects in the country do you think could say, and he was talking about America, how many prospects in America right now could say that they've gotten 4 or 5 phone calls in less than 30 days from Nick Saban? I mean, he said Nick Saban personally recruited him once, he became aware of him. And he made this comment. He said, Nick Saban said repeatedly, if this kid was in America, he would be a 5-star.
And the measurables certainly are there. And Alabama wasn't done. They got another big-time piece of the 2024 class. You had mentioned to us last week that he was going to commit at the end of this past weekend, and he certainly did so. And you felt like going in, he was part of your Firecracker 5, and that Alabama and USC were the top 2. Alabama probably had the edge, and that turned out to be the case with Zabian Brown.
Well, you never count out USC for a kid in California, obviously, a West Coast kid. And, we saw it a few years ago. Damani Jackson, we thought Alabama had him locked up. and then he kind of wavered back towards USC and ended up there. Well, Zabian Brown's a guy that, as a freshman in high school, came to an Alabama camp, earned an offer then. So he's had a great relationship, a long-time relationship with the Alabama coaching staff. He knows the preparation and development that they get here as defensive backs. And, I think it was really important to him. It was more important than staying closer to home. It was more important than some crazy NIL deal with a condo on the beach. Whatever they do out there at USC, I think Zabian saw the big picture, obviously. And, we were told that Alabama felt really, really good going into going into his decision. Where, again, like you said, Drew, in our Firecracker 5 on July 4th, we had Zabian Brown to Alabama, and he followed through yesterday, and he's a really highly skilled corner. He's one of the top 5 corners or so in the country, and I think this is a really big pickup for Alabama.
Well, as far as the 2024 class goes, they got 2026 news as well over the weekend, but as far as the 24 class goes, Rodney, 12 commits right now for Alabama. Setting up to be a pretty active month for Alabama.
Yeah, it should be. I think, obviously Casey Poe's coming up, Lindell, Texas, 4-star offensive guard. Some people think he's the best interior offensive lineman in the country. That's just obviously subjective. But he's a really good player. There's Auburn, Clemson, Georgia, LSU's been in there, Oklahoma's been in there. You name it. A lot of schools, Texas Tech. Many schools have been in the mix here with Casey Poe. Again, he was part of our Firecracker 5, so I've projected him to Alabama. Caleb Odom, a tight end out of Carrollton, Georgia. He's another guy who's one of the top 5 tight ends in the country, 6'5", 210. He's kind of like an Amari Niblack in high school. Of course, Amari, the rising sophomore at Alabama. And then, obviously there's some other guys. I tell you one guy to really watch. Of course, everyone wants to talk about DeMarcus Riddick being in the state of Alabama, maybe the number 1 player, certainly ranked very highly, maybe top 2, 3 inside backer prospects in the country from Chilton County and Clanton. Committed to Georgia back in November. Alabama, Auburn are really battling this one out. I know that Auburn's, trying desperately, and, certainly Alabama is as well. And I kind of projected him to Alabama in our Firecracker 5. But, I know this is going to be a close call because Auburn's, made a really good push too. And I would say this, I would also keep my eye on a Brookwood offensive lineman. He's an interior player, William Sanders. And, I really had not taken the opportunities or the time to look at his tape closely until about a week or so ago. Obviously I knew about him. I knew that he was likely to end up at Alabama. LSU's in there, Mississippi State, among others. But when you watch his tape, it's pretty clear William Sanders, if William Sanders was in, let's say, Houston, Texas, or maybe Hoover, or somewhere in the Atlanta, Buford, Georgia, for example, I think he would be pushing. I'm not saying he'd be a 5-star because they don't, interior offensive linemen sometimes don't get that ranking. But if he was in a bigger area, bigger town, city, more exposure, he would be pushing 5-star. This guy is, to me, he is a really, really talented interior offensive line prospect.
Yeah, he is. And speaking of interior offensive linemen, they picked up a 2026 from Caleb Odom's high school, a teammate of Caleb Odom in Carrollton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Zyke Helton. And, the funny thing, Drew and Scott, is this. During a camp about a month ago, I got this text message from this guy who was observing the camp. Same guy a few years earlier told me, he said, man, there's a kid here named Will Anderson who don't listen to what anybody's telling you. This guy is the real deal. He's a 5-star. He's rated, number 175 in the country. Trust what I'm telling you. He's going to be a top 5 player by the end of this process. And he was. Okay, well, the same guy reaches out to me and he said, man, there is a kid here from Carrollton, Georgia, Zyke Helton. He's a center prospect. He is dominating everyone. He said he's only a 2026 kid. He's got a few years left, obviously. But he said this guy's dominant. And, another thing about him is not only is his teammate Caleb Odom, the tight end who we think will commit to Alabama soon, but the quarterback on his team is a kid named Julian Lewis, who is the top 2026 quarterback in the country. And he's going to be a superstar. It's pretty amazing what this kid does in the 9th grade. But so Zaki Helton is a pretty fantastic looking prospect for such a young kid, and it's a big commitment. Again, it's a long way before he signs, but still interesting that he committed so early.
Yeah, as well as great stuff. It was a great Sunday for Alabama with 3 commitments, and, of course, Tider Insider was all over it. Rodney, let everybody know they can connect with you and be a part of Tider Insider, the preeminent Alabama resource since 1996.
Well, I appreciate it, Drew. It's TiderInsider.com. It's only $48 a year. You can get instant access with your credit card if you prefer. There is an address there to send a check. Gives y'all our premium information, but also our All Sports Forum, which has our community of Alabama fans there. There's a lot of exchange, a lot of information. I'm not just talking about Alabama. It's SEC. It's all over the country. If you're an Alabama fan, you want to keep up with all of that. It's all right there on TiderInsider.com.
Thank you, Rodney.
Thanks, Rodney.
All right, guys. Appreciate it.
Let's get that final break in. Your tomorrow's headlines will wrap you up next from Bill Penny Toyota.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Looks like they have wrapped up everything but Governors in Montesano. It's going to be a while on that one. Had a possible life-threatening injury. That one had injury and entrapment. They've got the inbound lanes blocked up completely. Outbound's not much better. If you can avoid the area, you might want to do so. Maybe head for Cecil Ashburn. No hose, no mask. You could ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Eck in the North Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Tom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
The new favorite place for delicious Mexican food is Coralejos Mexican Grill in Huntsville. Check out their reviews on Facebook and you'll see what people are raving about. Enjoy drink specials all day Monday through Thursday, like house margaritas for $3.99 and 12-ounce drafts for $2. Even vegan-friendly entrees on Monday starting at $5. Coralejos Mexican Grill, 1658 Old Monrovia Road in Huntsville. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram to stay updated on their specials.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
Want to see what I bring to the party?
Congratulations to The Drive as we celebrate a decade of Wes and Steve. Here's to 10 more.
Now Sonny and Cher would say, that's on you, babe.
97.7 ESPN The Zone. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
And welcome back, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Your tomorrow's headlines today. We mentioned it briefly. Oh, boy. Bob Ross. Man.
Sounds like San Diego and the Mutts.
Bob Ross putting me to sleep again here.
Well, he has a channel.
Apparently, Bob Ross has a channel that's on 24/7.
Yeah, Bandy, they even sell his gear, man. And you can get Bob Ross paint.
And of all the TVs, so there's
and then
three.
Scott informs me that he's a frequent Halloween costume.
People dress up as Bob Ross for Halloween. Yeah. Am I not kidding? I mean,
frequent. There's a lot of Bob Rosses for Halloween. There you go.
I guess it's an easy costume to make because you can just go get a beard and some hair.
Yeah.
And a palette.
Get your fro.
Throw some paint on it, and you're good to go as Bob Ross for Halloween.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
I guess. Anyway, so
home run derby tonight, right, Scott?
Is that tonight?
I think it is. And then the All-Star game's on Tuesday.
So it is tonight. The MLB Home Run Derby is
already had the Futures game.
Is tonight. So you get here is who you will have in the Home Run Derby. If I can pull him, you got Pete Alonso.
Yeah, he's
from the
polar
Mets.
bear going to do it again. Yeah.
Yep, he is. He is going to be there. Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yeah, Vladdy. Yep.
Is going to be a part of the Home Run Derby. Julio Rodriguez from the Mariners.
He's going to have he's going to have the home crowd behind him.
Luis Robert Jr. From the White Sox.
Yeah.
Adolis Garcia from the Rangers. Randy Arozarena. The
Braves just saw him. Rosarina and the Rays did knock the Braves around yesterday after losing the first two.
Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
And Adley Rutschman from the Orioles, young guy.
Yeah, the catcher,
Yeah. So that is your Home Run Derby. Now, it is the lineup, so you're going to have it's bracket play.
Yeah.
So Alonso's going to take on Julio Rodriguez.
Uh-oh.
Guerrero Jr. is going to take on Mookie Betts. Julio Rodriguez is going to take on Pete Alonso, we just mentioned. And Luis Robert Jr. is going to take on Adley Rutschman of the Orioles. Adolis Garcia is going to take on Randy Arozarena. And there you go. So that is your bracket for the Home Run Derby. You going to give it any attention? Going to give it any time tonight? No on the Home Run Derby.
Nah, last one I paid attention to was years ago. It's when Josh Hamilton put on a show, and he ended up losing in the finals. But he was, amazing. But I'm probably going to leave the Home Run Derby alone. But you never know. It might turn it over there for a minute or two, but probably not. I unlike the Czar, I may watch some of the All-Star game. I know the Czar is, as he said, he doesn't really like what it's turned into. But again, it's interesting. A lot of the Braves guys, they're going to have 8 guys. They're going to have, It'll be interesting to see how long Acuna plays because he's kind of banged up, and so how long some of these starters stay in it. But again, I may check out some of the All-Star game Tuesday, but not really interested in the home run derby.
All right, well,
I don't want to see a mutt win it.
It doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. All right, we got to get that break in, 24 hours worth. We'll be actually in studio tomorrow. We've not been there since last Wednesday.
That's true.
We will be in studio tomorrow.
Appreciate Bill Penny. Come see him.
Yep. Get your car service, get your oil change, get tires, rent a Toyota, do all of that. Bill Penny Toyota.
Listen to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton.